Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Intuitive Podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping you connect and understand your intuition and your energy. My name is Mimi. I'm an intuitive coach and a natural therapist. Today's topic is energy medicine, also known as Reiki. Now, what I'm about to share with you is my journey, my experiences, and should not in any way be used to compare with your journey. Our journey is very personal, and what is put on our path is there to suit us, to help us blossom while we're here on earth. Now, when I started learning about Reiki back in the 80s, it was considered very taboo to be practicing it, to be inquiring about it, and to be receiving sessions from it. And at the same time, it was such a rare thing to find a Reiki teacher that the prices were ridiculous. In the sense that back then, to receive your level 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, the price began at $5,000 and more. These days, when we go seeking for a Reiki teacher, prices can vary from $200 to $300 for level 1. So that's a big price drop. And I thank the pioneers who were out there initially fighting to make Reiki accessible to everybody. With the crazy high prices, it was very difficult for somebody who was middle class to be able to afford getting their certification. Today, everybody is able to get their certification. In the old days, it was considered very taboo to be talking about Reiki and energy. And I think one of the first teachers that spoke publicly about energy and chakras was Mrs. Shirley MacLaine. So that goes to say how old it is. And back then, even at that point, it was considered so scary to venture on that path. And we had a lot of people around us installing fear in us if we wanted or dared to venture on that path. Today, we have people that are encouraging you and telling you, you have to try it. It's amazing, and the benefits that come from it is so awesome. So there's definitely a big difference from 30 years ago, 40 years ago to today. Now, for those of you who don't know what Reiki is an energy medicine. And within that practice, we teach you that the human body has 7 main chakras. Now, there's many other chakras, but they focus on the 7 main chakras, which are called energy centers. These energy centers are aligned with your spinal cord, and each one of them is associated to a gland or an organ, and you could even feel within yourself when one of your chakras is out of line, out of tune, or misaligned. Now, most people, when they feel at their best, they have energy when they get up in the morning, their concentration is amazing, they're in a good mood, and they're able to problem solve and everything. We say at that point, you know what, the person is feeling at their best, their chakras are well aligned. But when the person is feeling tired and exhausted, even after napping or sleeping at night, when they feel overwhelmed easily, when they feel anxiety or symptoms of depression, they have trouble concentrating, they have trouble problem solving, etc., then we'll say there's a energy center that's not aligned, that's not in harmony. And a Reiki session is something that could help restore that balance within you. Now, in the old days, it was very difficult to find a Reiki teacher, which meant that if you found one, it was a true blessing because it could take a long time before you could find another one. It was so rare that a lot of times we had to go in other cities to get the attunement. And it was so taboo that it was not posted out there like it is today on social media. So in the old days, once we found a teacher, no matter if we connected with them or not, you had to follow all the levels of your training with that one teacher. These days, what I find wonderful is that you're able to shop around for a Reiki teacher. And it's the same for a practitioner. Now, you're able to find a practitioner or a teacher that is easy for you to connect with, that it's easy for you to blossom with, that you feel this connectiveness with them. And that way you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel relaxed, and you're able to enjoy the whole experience. Now, if you meet a practitioner or a teacher with who you don't connect, you have the choice. You can find another one because there's several ones in each city, and I find it absolutely amazing. Now, back when I started in the 1980s, and I know I'm getting up there in age and it's quite fine, but when I started back in the 1980s, the basics of the Reiki teaching was very, and like I would say maybe 15 pages in our manual for level 1, but there was lots of notes that we couldn't take because it was forbidden to take notes. And the little bit that we had was really just little reminders here and there of what we had to do. Today, what I find fantastic is that when you go to your trainings, most teachers have a manual that you can surf through when you're initially learning and when you're trying to develop your own skills through it. In the old days, we were encouraged to only stick to the one type of practice. So what they taught us, the protocol, had to be followed step by step. Today, what I find amazing about Reiki is that, yes, we're offered a protocol to follow, but we're also encouraged to follow our intuition and to let happen what is supposed to happen during this session, because we understand now that the Reiki session is about the person coming for this session, not about the practitioner. So we're able to adapt to the person. For those of you who've never heard about Reiki or energy medicine or chakras or energy centers, I highly recommend that you do so. And I would love to know just how many of you out there are Reiki practitioner. So if you can, I invite you to leave a comment in the section below telling me how long you've been practicing. I think it'd be very interesting to find out how long you've been practicing and which country you're from, because this is a podcast. We know it's all over the place. Now, with the years going by and things becoming more available, practices becoming more available, I started exploring different types of energy medicine, such as healing touch, matrix, quantum touch, intuitive touch, etc., and even different types of Reiki. In the old days, we only had access to Mikao Usui's, the original founder's, type of Reiki, and Mrs. Awayo Takata's type of Reiki. Now, although Mrs. Awayo Takata learned from Shizuru Ayashi, who had learned from Mikao Usui, the differences between Mikao Usui and Awayo Takata is quite big. But again, she adapted it so that it would be easier for the Western world to adapt it. And thankfully, internet came around and a whole bunch of stuff came around, which made it easier for Reiki teachers to go back to the root of Reiki, what it is, what it's for, how it works, etc. Now, as you encounter Reiki teachers and practitioners, if it's something that you decide that you want to venture on, like that path, I would suggest that you notice the differences. Which one are you more drawn to? What was different from your session with that Reiki practitioner compared to the other one? How about when you went for your training? What was the difference between both training? Because teachers, Reiki teachers, also teach differently. There is some information that repeats itself, but you'll also notice that there's some information that seems to be different. And I invite you to follow your gut instinct whenever you're with a Reiki teacher. Is the information they're sharing with you authentic? Is the information they're sharing with you correct, in the sense that does it have something to do with Reiki, or does it seem to have something to do with something totally different? And if for some reason it doesn't resonate with you or it doesn't feel correct, then I invite you to find another Reiki teacher. But if the Reiki teacher you're with actually suits your need, then by all means stick with that teacher. Because the minute you're comfortable with your teacher, the minute you have that trust with your teacher, you will blossom into an amazing Reiki master teacher. And it's the same for the practitioner. If the practitioner you're with suits your need and you're comfortable with him or her, then by all means stick with them. But if for some reason you don't feel comfortable, or you find that this Reiki practitioner may be more suited for somebody else, then by all means, again, listen to your gut feeling and move on. The idea here is that you, the consumer, you, the client, you, the one seeking for a Reiki session or a Reiki training, need to feel at your best with the professional that's being presented to you. Now, if you have any more questions concerning Reiki, feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to answer your emails. So until next time, love and light. I'm wishing you the best of what life can offer you, and we'll talk again soon. Ciao for now.